rivalry question for you. Did you find when you were in Green Bay that good stuff you did against the Bears was magnified, whether it was friends, family, people on the street? Is there a special place in people's hearts when you do something?
Yeah, I mean, for my scenario, it's a little bit different coming from here and being up there. So, I hear a little bit more from like my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just one of the better rivalries in sports, let alone football. So, I think any of those rivalry games are doing that.
What would your friends say? Would they be like, "Come on, man"?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of them are Bears fans. Season ticket holders. So, they're always wanting the Bears to win. But like for my success, so now I can double down on it. So it's nice.
Robert, you were a guy who had to go smaller school, undrafted into the league and earn your place. What kind of appreciation do you have for a guy like Tyson Bacon who's been able to take advantage of this opportunity?
Yeah, we actually had a good long talk the other day. We were doing like tubs and sauna together, and he was just kind of asking about my path and slightly a journeyman a little bit. I would say for myself, but just kind of giving him that confidence of anything can happen. Preseason's very big, and with the little amount of reps that you get, you kind of have to make a splash. Not anything out of the ordinary, but just being consistent with those reps, those minimal reps you get. And obviously that worked out for him because when he was in there for a little bit, he was making plays, and then he got more opportunities in those preseason games, and then you see him leading, the offense down and scoring, in the Indy game, and then here at home. So. Yeah, he's a good kid. He's a gamer. What's good about him? He was from a D2 school and he played a lot of football. It's not like a guy who was just starting like a handful of games in Division I and then getting drafted. He played a lot of games, had a lot of success, so he has a lot of football under his belt.
He's been very self-aware just about the level that he came from, and he said that he'd make plays and he'd notice some guys be like, wait, like you. Kind of almost like a little bit of shock that a D2 guy can make a play like that. And like you went where to school? Like how have you seen your teammates react to like how well he's played this preseason, knowing where he came from?
I think that's what's good about like our team, a young team. Like everyone's just so like the camaraderie is good. Everyone doesn't really look down on people where they came from, or if you can play football, you can play football, and those are the people that we want around this building, and we want a part of this team. So. Yeah, it is a little different, a D2 quarterback, just coming in and just all of a sudden making plays. But if you look at his film and like who he is and, his statistics and all that, I mean, he's been doing it. So
along the same lines, you were a guy who had to fight for a roster spot. What do you remember about the emotions of like roster cutdown day, and what advice do you have for guys kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I had, when I was in Detroit, I had the worst where, I went in to sign my practice squad contract, and then they didn't have it all of a sudden. And then the next year I go in and they call me, I get that, the prank call that I got cut, and then I go in there and then I made the team. So it was like completely opposites. But yeah, I mean, just advice. I mean, it does, weigh on you when you get that call or when you get cut. But there's so much that can happen within these like next handful of weeks. So many injuries in the first couple games, or you see roster moves that people didn't really like, or you kind of just see how the NFL unfolds in terms of rosters and moves and stuff like that. So you kind of really can't dwell on it. But yeah, I mean, I didn't sign Green Bay until like the first week of December, so I was at home for like a whole year. So and yeah, so I mean, really cliche as it sounds, it really isn't how it starts. But when you get your opportunity, finishing and executing and just making do with your opportunities.
Someone had the audacity to prank call you from the front office to like.
No. It was like another player who got cut, and then he used like the same text and copied and pasted and sent it to me. I literally went into the office and handed in my iPad, and then everyone was like excited to see me, and I was super confused.
What did you say to someone?
No, I didn't say anything. Yeah, there's like an article on it on ESPN or something like that. But this was 2008. Yeah, 2018. I had a really good preseason, and they basically told me like I was on the team, so I was like cool. And then like I'm at home like playing video games with my buddy, and all of a sudden like I get that text, and I literally drove like so mad to the building, like handed in my iPad. Then my tight ends coach and the GM are like super excited to see me. I was like, this is weird. But yeah, so that's what happened. But
In the first time you go to sign a practice squad contract and
in Detroit, yeah, it just wasn't there.
somebody told you you'd made it? And then
Yeah. Well, yeah, I came in to sign and then just wasn't there. So
how do you deal with that at a young age or even at an older age?
yeah, I mean, yeah, you grow up quickly. That's for sure. I mean, you learn. I'm glad I learned about the business of the NFL earlier than later. That's for sure. So yeah, I mean, I went through that pretty quickly. So kind of, gave me a chip on my shoulder and a healthy wall up in terms of, whether it's like, relationship or just like how the NFL works, word of mouth stuff. So, yeah.
Robert, I'm sure in Green Bay, I assume in Green Bay, no matter what happened in the preseason, there was a certainty or an expectation of performance because you had Rodgers on your side. What's the difference now with this offense where, there's just more, I imagine it's more of an X factor, unknown, you really don't know what to expect. How much different is that? And what do you think just about in general that?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, so it is different from the situations I've been in where, you're flying under the radar or there's not external expectations or, whatever people are saying. It's, we can go out and make our identity, our name for ourselves. And, people's opinion don't matter because like we haven't been, when you have someone like Aaron, you've been doing it for the last 15 years. So there's an identity there. But here, I think us building that identity together, the camaraderie, us gelling together, us playing with each other more, just plays and reps and stuff like that. So I'm excited. Like I said, like it's nice because you're flying under the radar. There's not that, talk about certain people or certain aspects of the game.
As objectively as you can, are there things you guys see or you see that we don't, or that people don't in general about this offense that you think will really, surprise people or really portend to, better things?
Yeah.
Than what we've seen in the preseason.
I mean, when you get in the season, you're game planning to win. I mean, as weird as it sounds, like you're just running base stuff in the preseason, and you're not like, I mean, yeah, you're trying to win with the plays you're running, but you're not like scheming up to be successful and win the game and so on. So I think you'll see a lot more of the creation and the creative side of Luke, and you'll get to see Justin be more of that playmaker that he is, and the weapons that we went out and got in the off season are going to be able to make plays and go out and show themselves. I think the most that any of the starters was playing was like 15 to 20 plays. So, and those guys are going to be playing, 50 to 60. So I think just as we get moving on and the more plays that we play, players are around each other more, we'll just ascend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyler, what are you most eager to see once the regular season prep begins next week, probably Monday, and to a wider extent?
You said by the defense?
Yeah.
Honestly, just us, just like bouncing off each other and all us like making plays, like from the secondary to the linebackers to the D line, and just going back and forth, and everyone just getting a chance to make plays and just building off that energy and just you'll see like times and during camp that we just get excited and hype and the energy rises and people make more plays and it just becomes something dominant. So that's something I'm really excited to see.
When will you start fully immersing yourself in Green Bay and watching that?
That's already happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
What stands out to you now that you've started doing it?
What do you mean as far as the word like stand out? Like
Just in terms of what you're going to be facing from their passing attack, it's a totally unknown quantity with a new quarterback.
yeah, I mean, he's a young quarterback, hasn't really, this is like his first time really like doing what he does for the team and stuff like that. And they have a lot of less experience now with the guys that traded away and stuff like that. So just being able to capitalize on that and be able to take advantage in whatever ways that we can and stuff like that with the type of offense that they have. But yeah, that's probably pretty much what I say.
What are your impressions of Love?
I mean, he's a young quarterback, really. Don't really have much to say about him, to be honest. But I know what we're gonna do, and I know how our defense moves, and it's just really going out there and just make it bad for him, honestly.
he's a guy who hasn't had a lot of regular season work. Do you look at the preseason stuff, or do you have to acknowledge that that's pretty vanilla too? How do you get a sense of what he's good at and what he's not good at?
Yeah, I mean, definitely with not a whole lot, but to go from obviously just take what you have and make the most of it. So like I'll look at the preseason, or I'll look at all the passes he's ever thrown in his whole entire career and stuff like that, and just kind of get a feel for like how he is as a player, what the coaches, how the coaches and the coordinators like to use him, and how they try to use him within the scheme and stuff like that. So really just taking a bunch of information from that and just observing the way like he does what he does at quarterback and the type of player he is.
Have you gone back to Utah State even that far, or just?
I mean, I've seen stuff like that because I kind of watched him when he came out to the draft and stuff like that. Rehashed a little bit of that, but not a ton.
Kelly, what are some things you've seen from Tyreek over the last month that give you a sense that he's ready for what's awaiting him? Obviously, just a year since you did it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact, just him being able to put himself in position to make plays, honestly, like, you can see it since day one, honestly, from camp. Just a steady incline of him putting himself in position and being able to get his hands on balls and PBUs and picks and stuff like that, and just having that escalate and that's being like a steady climb for him. So I mean, that's what I would say. Yeah.
How do you describe his edge?
His edge, just confidence. Like confidence and high energy and not afraid to speak up and stuff like that. And so, when you have a guy that brings more energy into the room, like that's a good thing. And so. I like having talkative players on our team that are confident and willing to say something, because it just brings more out of me, to be honest, to want to talk and be confident and rep that with them and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Kyler, with this being week one, the rivalry, Bears-Packers, being in your second year, how important is it to get the season off right and potentially get a victory at Soldier Field?
I think it's extremely important to go and put that front foot forward and really show what the 2023 Bears are going to be like, and no better way than to start with the dub against our own rivals and stuff like that, and against the division and stuff like that. So it's very important. I'm excited. It's like our first time we really get to have the whole defense, the whole offense, the whole team in general just go and show what we're going to do this year and just start off the right way. And I'm just excited to get it rolling, honestly.
Kyler, we've heard from Jalen Johnson about his internal motivation to become, get more in the interception column, to be more of that game-changing force. What kind of conversations or even just senses have you gotten from him about what's driving him this season?
Yeah, I mean, really just what we always just talk about, being the best and what it takes really to be the best. And I think we can definitely see a lot of differences between last year and this year as far as our chemistry, what we talk about, the information that we're all displaying to each other in the room, and how to, work with each other well, and, a better level of understanding as far as communication and stuff like that. And, I mean, you can definitely see it a lot if you've been at practice and stuff like that between our whole secondary group. And, he's had a ton of picks and a lot of great plays and during practice and this preseason and stuff like that. So he gonna ball out. Our whole secondary gonna ball out. Like, I'm just excited. Yeah.
With so many key players missing the last 3 or 4 weeks from your defense, how much of a curiosity factor, or maybe just an unknown factor, as far as how good this defense is going to be? How much of a curiosity or unknown do you have about how good you can be, because you really haven't been together for the last 3 weeks?
For the last 3 weeks, I guess you could say that. Like, but since the beginning of camps and OTAs, like, we've been in moments where we've all gelled together, and I've seen the way that we've all played and how dominant it can be, kind of like what I was talking about a little bit earlier. And so, being able to have that and that chemistry and stuff, and even to be able to go through walkthroughs and do stuff, and the communication be so smooth that when, we're going through plays, it's like, how do I say it? Like, I don't know, it's just smooth. And especially compared to last year, at least for me, and, being able to talk to the players and, oh, we can do this, we can do that. Okay, let's just make sure we talk it up, and just a mix of that. And I don't know, like, I don't really have any doubts as far as the way we're going to gel. I've seen each player, do something special individually and add and contribute to this defense and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people are curious about it. But as a defense and people that have been here in the building, like I have a lot of doubt in the players that we have and stuff like that. So I feel good about us.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Andrew, the run defense last season struggled. I'm sure you know, and that's part of the reason you were brought in here to help fix that run defense. But hasn't looked great over the little preseason action we've seen that first team offensive or defensive line out there. Is there anything that gives you confidence that you guys can turn the page and take a step forward when the games are for real week one?
Yeah. The main thing that gives me confidence is like the mistakes that are made are just something that we can coach. It's not like an effort thing or the inability of a dude to do something. So it's just little things here and there, and that's pretty much what preseason's for.
Andrew, what have Zach Pickens talked about some of the ways you've helped him out? What have you kind of been working with him on, and what stands out to you about him?
I help him out with anything that that he asks me about, or I see that he might need to work on. Just little things, hands, feet, eyes, and all that. And what was the second part of your question?
What stands out to you about the way he plays?
He gets it right, and he wants to get it right. And that's something that a rookie really has to understand over time. But he seems to have got it, pretty quick. He doesn't just rely on his talent.
Andrew, how have you seen Zach and Javon grow throughout training camp in the 3 preseason games?
Well, I mean, run game, pass rush, just working together, seeing them out there together because they're the future of this team. They're going to be here for at least 4 years. So just having that cohesiveness that they're developing right now is huge, and they both seem to be doing it pretty quick.
Imagine you're always optimistic, it's just not human nature to be optimistic about things heading into a season. Is the vibe any different this year with this team and this defense than any previous teams you've been on as far as just how good you feel about what this team can do, and especially considering what it was last year when you weren't here?
Yeah, I mean, this vibe is definitely something special. You got JJ, D-Walk, the rookies, me, Yannick now joined the room. We have some guys in there who've put a lot on tape in college and in the NFL. So I do see nothing but upside from this point on.
Anything about it that really seems real? I'm saying that you can tell it's just definitely going to be there, and not just kind of.
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing is it's the rookies. I mean, just the way they're eager to learn. I've been around a lot of rookies, and they all want to learn. Don't get me wrong, but it just seems like they're going home and really thinking about it. And you tell them something one day, and they come out and they're working on it, they're trying to fix it, and then you don't see it in the game. And that's what pros do. Your coach tells you something once, you work on it, you fix it, and the next week it's eliminated. And I'm seeing that in the rookies, which is huge for me.
Anyone in particular of those rookies that you think? I know you think they'll all do well, but anyone you think will really be a breakout player as far as a first time in the NFL?
I mean, I'm not going to put pressure on them like that, but it's up to them. I think they both have the abilities to do it, and I think they have the attitude to do it as well. It's just we got to see what comes forth.
Andrew, when you look at this defense as a whole on all 3 levels, what do you see coming together with the entirety of the group?
I just see everybody's trying to work together. Like you said, with the run game, that's D-line, linebackers, even the safeties, coming up and making a big hit. In the pass rush game, it's us working with the linebackers and coverage, and I see us trying to develop something that the back take care of the front and the front take care of the back. So that's something that I've seen a lot of successful defense do. You put pressure on the quarterback, he makes a bad throw, you have an interception, or you have good coverage, he's sitting there patting the ball, you get a lot of sacks. And I think that's something that we're working on all together.
Tyler Gordon said he's felt it at times, that just this gel of energy and intensity. What have you sensed from the group collectively in terms of that?
Yeah, I sense the same thing. We have our little defensive huddle, before every period, and that's something that Edmonds brought in, and that I think that's really changed the defense. Yeah.
We've heard all offseason that Tremaine would be okay, good to go week one, even though he's missed a lot of time. We saw him in for a handful of snaps during that preseason game, the last preseason game. Is there any value in having him on the field for that handful of snaps just to hear him make the call, get the group together, or anything like that?
Yeah, that's because we got, defense, there's so many calls in between, getting in your stance and snapping the ball. You want to hear somebody's voice, and you got to get used to that voice because there's a lot of changes in defense, and having him out there is huge. Even in walkthroughs, it's huge just hearing his voice because you can't always make out what he's saying. So sometimes you just got to listen to the cadence of the word and the ending or the beginning, and you know what he's saying. So that's huge for me, especially as a nose guard.
Andrew, you've been around a few coaches in their first year. I know Flus is in his second year, but I'm curious what you've observed about what he's done here and kind of the foundation he's set that has made an impression on you, just being around different coaches?
Yeah, he's setting the pressure on the field and off the field. We have a lot of team development meetings, you know, where we all come together and with different guys. Like I'm sitting in the room with quarterbacks and running backs, and we're discussing things about life. And I think that's another level of you know, of a head coach there that I haven't seen yet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Sir?
Have a good one.